going on, everybody? Sexy people, sexy human beings. Opening the portal. It's me, Tino. We got our guest, Castro, over here.
Yo, nice to meet y'all.
Everybody doing? Sending out vibes, love. Hope everyone's having a good time. If not, take a breathe in, breathe out. Awareness to reality and life.
I like it.
Feels good. Feels good.
Yes, it does.
Castro.
Yes, sir.
So, man, conditioning of a human being.
Yeah, we were just talking about this right before we got on the podcast.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting how we find so much conditioning in the world. This even the collection of data through many apps. We find so much conditioning in the sense of, well, for example, Snapchat. Yeah. We hear the sound ding. Yeah, we automatically go like, oh.
You get so
it must be something. It must be something.
I mean, you catch yourself even dragging your finger, right? Like you get off any app and you don't even know what you're doing. Your brain hasn't even registered, and you're like clicking on fucking Instagram already and shit. Yeah.
In a sense, we're kind of like lab rats. We're being trained to just like react to that. Yeah, and we don't even notice it sometimes. We kind of like it.
I know,
because it gives us this momentary
like this drug,
pleasure.
This natural drug. Just feeding your brain. Yeah. For sure. And
it's interesting because, like, if we continue that path of conditioning and of being addicted to things, well, where do we find ourselves?
Honestly, I think just even the simple sense of conditioning, aside from even putting any title to it, I think you're not allowing to like truly express your natural thought process. You know, you're like you being authentic, like you being honest, you know, with yourself, like in its fullest. I think just that in its own is already fucked up enough. You know what I mean? Like, and I think this is why systems are placed, you know, like through layers in so many ways through people. You know what I mean? Like, and I think all forms of that becomes like at one point probably the hardest challenge of a human being, because again, you know, part of the conditioning is to, you know, for us, for example, is going to school. You know, freaking going to college, getting a career in the process of family, a house, you know what I mean? Like all that. And that's like the life, right? But then what happens when you get there? You know, you like statistically, most people there too are like, I'm still not fucking happy. You know what I mean? Like
you find yourself going like, oh, is that it?
Yeah,
well,
but that's because,
my purpose?
Yeah, but that's because you're sold that dream. You know what I mean? Like you're always sold since like a very young age. You're like, fuck. Go travel a little bit, you know, go figure yourself out in places you've never been. Like go, you know what I mean? The world's fucking big. You know what I mean? Like we're here like dragging ourselves through like the same home area, you know, but I don't know. So I think it just simply goes to that conditioning. And I think with the fucking this system, again, we were talking about that earlier too. Yeah. I think this whole capitalist system is very good at that. I think they strip us down, you know, like from humanity, literally, dude, like, you know, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, like they fuck us up. You know, and I think they make profit off every single part of our suffering, you know, one way or another. And all those aspects too. Because even now, like, spirituality became a fucking trend.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
it became a trend.
Like, but there's
we
like...
stripped out the meaning from it. We've given the selling point.
Yeah, for sure.
Buy this sage, buy this thing.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Spirituality is the higher state of being. And it's like, well, was that really the point?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not to say that I'm belittling it, you know, because I quite honestly do think that I'm like a very spiritual person, but not like religiously, not like, you know what I mean? Like
in a different sense. You find some different
just,
sense.
You know, just life teaches you fucking how to fucking look inside yourself at one point. You know what I mean? Like if you allow it to. But also, just like everything, you know, kind of got monetized and shit. And, you know, spirituality became one of those things in the last couple of years where people like really made it super fucking trendy. You know, and I think like people just took mad advantage of that too. You know, like every other thing. You know what I mean? Like clothes, food, you know, music, like everything is monetized, you know? But hey, here we are. We're trying to figure it out, you know?
And I really love the way you put it in the sense of that the human being already has his innate authenticity. And here we are already putting ourselves away from that, putting on not necessarily a mask, but a different way of life. Yeah. And we're shielding ourselves from like what we already are. Yeah, for sure. Each one of us has this unique authenticity. And it's like, well, do we really have to be the same person? Do we really have to be this ideal
not human being? Not at all. I think that's the whole beautiful part of it, right? That you're allowed to be different, but you're allowed to bring all that together and you know, kind of figure that out together. But I think most people are afraid of that. I think people are afraid of hurt. And I think that process naturally hurts to like look within yourself, to tell yourself like I was wrong this whole time for believing something that, you know what I mean, maybe isn't right for me. You know what I mean? Like, but people are super egotistical. Again, you know, they're like, it hurts to go against like, you know, shit like that. You know what I mean? Always. So it just, I think people are just naturally scared, man. Damn, man.
in between all the conditioning, we find the ego being formed, and yet with the dissolving of it, we can find something greater.
And this is why, again, going back to intentions, we were talking about this earlier. I think that's why it's super, super fucking important. Because I think when you move without intentions, and I said this, with some friends, in the past, we talked about this. It kind of like naturally creates this like bad intention without really realizing it. And I know that's not what your mind sets out to be, but I think it just kind of naturally works that way. When you set good intentions and you move with those intentions in mind, you create like a different sense of like energy. You know what I mean? Like around you and shit. And that matters. That goes a long way. But I think for people who move very unintentionally, like don't understand like the power they carry behind their actions, behind their words and shit like that, and that always creates like this like field of hurt, you know what I mean? Like in the process, like they're just kind of like leaving flames behind. And shit, I was one of those people fucking that moved that way, So,
oh wow.
But so I think even having that kind of mindfulness in your way of living is super important too. Like I think you waking up and knowing that like, okay, you're putting your mind right and having good intentions for the day and like knowing that you're gonna move with that, mindset.
Yeah.
Bro, I think like that just changes like your whole like well-being in general, you know what I mean? But there's a domino effect, string theory, you know what I mean? And one thing has an effect, in places that you might not understand. But somehow you feel that. But somehow you feel it, and energy doesn't lie, bro.
I mean, even in this podcast, this is a great example. This reaches, for example, let's say this reaches like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Each one of those person knows another 20 people. We multiply that times 1,000. It's like what, fucking 200,000 people.
For sure.
And then those other people know other people. And so we're not necessarily just individuals. We're a connected node, a network.
And you would never know whose life you change in the process. That's the thing, and that's the beauty of it all, bro. The unknown. You know what I mean? Like that's like you might spark something in someone's heart. You know what I mean? And, and then shit, like there you go. I was just at the Tupac Museum with my girl.
Oh, nice.
And there was this quote that said, "I know I'm not gonna be the one to change the world, but I know I will be the one to spark in pretty much in someone's life that will change the world." You know what I mean? And I think that shit's like, powerful. It's dope. You know what I mean? It's dope.
Yeah,
it's a dope way of accepting life. You know what I mean? That somewhere in the unknown, like your actions, you moved with those actions intentionally, consciously, and then you know that you're gonna leave like that print in the world. You know what I mean? Like, shit, tell me Tupac didn't. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, like Tupac left a mad mark in this world. Straight up revolutionary.
Definitely, yeah.
For sure.
Revolutionary.
For sure.
The revolution of the self you can bring up.
The
new world, the new world, but the new process of progress. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to find.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's interesting how you say that the unawareness of intentions, you can find hurt and kind of like a shadow of the self, not really
for sure
being with other people. Is that like a fake? Would you consider people being maybe not fake, but I'm trying to get at when people aren't their authentic selves, how much of an effect does that leave? Or like, what's an example of that? So in the capitalism, like, that's like
a capitalism world. It's a little different. In the capitalism world, I think the way this affects a lot of people is pretty much allowing to you become like a guinea pig of most things, right? But I think, for example, I think it affects your ancestors. I think, we all have roots, especially like people like us. We're Latinos, you know what I mean? So in a way, we are somehow not connected as probably much as we would like to be to our roots, because there's a lot of like, systems implied in front of you. You know what I mean? That like somehow don't allow you to get back to your roots. You know what I mean? One way or another. Like you just aren't able to connect. There's a lot of my people still in Mexico, for example, that I can't connect with and shit because they can't come over here. Or like, you know what I mean? Like there's just mad bullshit. But those are all like, like system regulations barriers and shit. You know what I mean? They're barriers. Those are just physical ones. You know what I mean? But we're talking emotionally, that's different too.
Interesting. Okay. Tell me about that, yeah.
So, I mean, to me, like for all like my personal reasons, and I could use me. I mean, you guys have all your own, personal reasons. It's just about dissecting them and accepting them, that you'll figure those lessons out. But shit, bro, when like I was a kid, for example, I grew up with my mom, for example. My mom was my whole image of like what parents meant to me. Like I didn't know my pops whatsoever. I've seen them a handful of times. Like I'm a 30-year-old man, bro. So I didn't realize how much that fucked me up really until I started like actually looking back at shit. You know, and I was like around 16, you know what I mean? And actually, shrooms did that for me too. Actually, that's a whole different thing. Like that shit, that fucked me up in the best way though.
Fuck, dude. I'm really curious to hear that because I had my father who passed away from cancer when I was 15. And, you know, I'm really interested into hearing that. Yeah. Yeah, no. And so, how was that, you know? How was that?
For me, it was just more of a like realizing that like I was just super fucking hurt by the fact that like, you know, I do remember memories of my dad. I was young as fuck, but he left at a very young age. And so when he did leave, like, fuck, dude, I remember thinking that like, did I do something wrong? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was kind of like, what the fuck happened? You know, but bro, I kind of just put that to the side and just let it feed me, you know, like fucked up things. And I just kind of like decided to believe, you know, certain things were meant to be, you know, because I deserved it, I guess, you know, in a way. But see, I did this all like unintentionally. I wasn't conscious of my thoughts and like, you know, this is how I'm going to feed my fucking head. And, you know, I wasn't conscious of that.
Your brain was just trying to protect you.
Yeah, my brain was just
trying to make like, hey, let's not let this hurt
Yeah.
us. Let's try to like just go on. Yeah.
And so when I was about 16 though, I went through my first like phases of like popping mushrooms, bro. Like I was with like shrooms, even with this dude behind the camera.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude, and like we were popping like 3.5, 4 grams and above. Like, you know, that was the minimum. I see back then I didn't know that you weren't supposed to, like, for your first couple times, you know, now people kind of like build, you know, like they started with microdose and they slowly go. But dude, we were going down the rabbit hole. But we also didn't know that was wrong. So like we didn't like know to not do it. You know what I mean? So we were just kind of like, okay, this is how we're supposed to feel. Fucking trip the fuck out.
Yeah.
But bro, it was through those phases that I started like really sitting down and like looking inside out. You know what I mean? And I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm fucked up. You know, like, I'm like really fucked up, dude. Shit. I remember those times where I was just like crying, but with the biggest smile on my face, too. Like, it was like I was going through so much emotion. It's crazy. But in that process, my dad was like one of those things that just kept like, you know, bouncing back to my fucking head. Just testing me and shit, challenging me, dude.
Damn.
Fuck. Yeah, and I just started like, you come to a realization where like, it's exactly these things that teach you how to heal and teach you how to accept. You find simplicity in the complicated detail, but you have to hurt. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that like, in order for you to kind of gain like, you know, certain like fucking things like such as what I just mentioned, like you have to hurt, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like you gotta go through it.
You have to go through it.
Most people are scared of that. Most people are scared to look at themselves in a different angle that they're not used to.
Absolutely.
Because it is scary.
No, and I definitely feel that too. Like when I'm like scared about just my future in general. Like, I'm 20 years old and I'm going to Northridge, and sometimes I've worried about my future. It's like, oh shit, like
what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing for myself?
Like, is this the right thing? Is this like, you know, am I gonna make it? And sometimes I'm scared to think about that stuff, and I kind of push it behind. Yeah. And it's like, fuck, dude. Like I know that I should think about that. I know that I should like at least talk to someone about it. Yep. But I push myself. That hurt behind because it seems easier.
So who are you pleasing in that process?
Interesting. That's a good question. Who am I pleasing?
Like who are you doing that for? Like when you're thinking that way, like ask yourself again, like who are you pleasing in the end of the day?
Who am I pleasing?
Because if it's anyone else but you, and I'm not doing this selfishly,
right, no.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like most of the time I think it's like, you know, kind of where you gotta rearrange maybe or prioritize, you know.
Yeah,
again, and it's
absolutely.
not selfish, you know, because I've done a lot of like actions in my past, you know, like lives and shit, I guess you want to call them. I've gone through so many phases where I lived my whole life to satisfy other people. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to sound selfish, dude. I'm all for like, you know, empowering each other and like being, you know, help each other grow and shit. I'm all for that. But bro, if you're not doing shit for yourself, you're never gonna be able to like help others out either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't help someone in your house when you just don't have your stuff in order, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, oh shit, how am I gonna help you out?
Yeah, but then again, you know, that kind of, in some ways.
I really love that question. Who are you pleasing? Who are you? I guess I'm trying to please, maybe not myself, but I'm trying to like, I guess give myself comfort, but that isn't real comfort. That's more of a...
just satisfaction, like momentary satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So... the responsibility of just like going through it. Yeah, that's the right course of action.
For sure.
You heard it here, guys. We gotta go through it. Oh, fuck.
How does that quote go? And then a wise man once said, the only way out is the way through.
Yeah. I gotta ride the wave.
Yeah,
Ride
bro.
the wave.
You got
Fuck, that's
it, man.
crazy.
You got it, man. What are you taking at Northridge, if you don't mind me asking?
Psychology. So I'm doing psychology. I'm also interested in like philosophy, stuff like that.
Touché.
And so it's really nice. It's really nice. Hopefully I become a researcher and I delve myself into that. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty interested
What
in
field
that.
of researching have you like?
I'm not too sure necessarily, but
Okay.
I want to do like maybe some social psychology.
Dope. Okay.
But yeah, I definitely think that that's something that I'm getting used to. Right now I'm taking a lot of statistics class, just trying to find like,
yeah. Good for you, man.
yeah, so that's my thing right now. So
Good
I'm
for
pretty
you,
excited
man.
about that. Also scary, but also, I guess, exciting. So
Sounds exciting.
yeah,
It's pretty dope.
it's a different mindset of just changing
Yeah.
everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been going so far?
I've been going to Northridge now for almost a year. Like a semester. This is my semester now. Thankfully, we have classes in campus, so that's gonna help me out a lot, and so I'm excited about that. But
Word.
yeah,
Good
yeah,
for you,
no,
man.
yeah.
I remember trying to go to school. Actually, I was pretty good at school. I mean, at school, I'm making it seem like it's a fucking chapter, like a video game chapter and shit. No, I was like, I enjoyed school, but for the wrong reasons when I was young. Like, but yeah, I fucked up a lot in school. I did a lot of stupid shit, but I mean, I got through it. You know, I graduated and everything. So I mean, I'm not really tripping. But I remember when I was gonna go to college, I was like, fuck that. I'm gonna travel first, you know, and then I'm gonna figure out what the fuck I'm gonna go through. Like, you know, then I came back and I'm gonna just go to trade school. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I went and chilled for a bit, and then I saw how everybody fucked up and got in debt, and I was like, oh, I'm all right. I don't want to get in debt. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm cool.
Fuck, that's crazy.
I'm gonna just go to trade school and pay like the money that I actually have in my pocket and just
Yeah.
learn the skill and build that skill. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like,
And
something I like doing too, you know?
yeah.
I did a lot of like mechanical work, like engineering work, and just kind of stuck to that, you know, for a minute. But
I mean, and you have that intention behind it, and I think
Yeah.
that's what matters. Absolutely,
I actually
that it's
enjoyed
like,
it,
oh,
you
well,
know?
yeah, you enjoyed it, and you had that experience, and it's like, well, that was the right choice for you. Who's to say that it wasn't right for
yeah,
you?
exactly.
Yeah,
I guess
it's in your life.
just depends on, you know, how you choose to like be happy about it. See, but that's the thing too, that like the only time that I felt shitty about it is because like so many companies take like mad advantage of you. You know what I mean? Like when I was like 26, 27, working at this company that I won't mention just because, you know, just
Confidential,
yeah,
yeah,
whatever. But
whatever.
I was working as an engineer with them and working with like some dude that like actually I was super grateful for because he taught me like everything I know to you know those skills that I developed there. But he took me under his wing. But most people that were going in there like came in with degrees and shit like that. You know, I just kind of like walked up to him and was like, hey, look, I know this and this and this, but like super open-minded. I'm very good hands-on, and I like, you know, whatever, just kind of presented myself like naturally. In a couple of months, like he gave me a chance for an interview and whatever. So I was super grateful, right? But after a year or so, I was teaching the fucking mechanics on the floor, which make like triple what I do. I was teaching them, and I was literally going like, you know, like getting them ready for the floor and shit. When shit was like fucking on fire on the floor, and like they were calling me to fix, you know, not literally, but
Right, but
when
like,
they couldn't diagnose things, like me and my boss would be the ones going, or sometimes me, and then, you know, I go take care of this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're getting paid like fucking triple what I am.
Yeah.
But it was the age difference. It's because these fools are coming in like at 30+-year-old, you know what I mean?
right,
Like,
and they have this
you know-
prestigious, you know, college and everything.
yeah, bro. And I'm just like, you're like, what? But I get to teach these fools how to do their work.
Interesting.
They know the book knowledge, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
which is like, yeah, another half to it.
useful, yeah.
But it's one thing like knowing that, and then it's another thing knowing how to use the tools, plus what's on top of the like the engineering. You know what I mean? Like it's two different things.
Yeah.
So you can know the whole fucking science behind, you know, like every structure of what you're doing there, but like if you don't know how to fucking drill, bro, if you don't know how to fucking, you know, solder, if you don't know, you know, that's a whole different concept too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
hey, but whatever. So it was a lot of bullshit like that, bro. I was so young, already knowing like shit, you know, that like they didn't value that. You know, so to me it was always like,
Wow.
fuck, man. But it's every company, bro. Again, it goes back to the capitalist conditioning of a fucking person.
Yeah.
It's just like they're just gonna rape your ass, you know, mentally and shit, emotionally, financially and shit, you know, and just make profit over you, bro. And it was like that, like everywhere you go, like
Dang.
they just don't fucking value your work, bro. Like anything you do. For
I mean, it's
people.
interesting because here you are teaching people. Here you are teaching the people that are so-called valuable, and yet here we are exploiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
For fucking sure. And it's not just people too, bro. back to it's everything, bro. It's like literally, bro. Like people are just part of the fucking equation, but we're talking about like every element on this fucking world is 100% being stripped, raped. Mother Earth entirely, mines, the oceans, the forests, the animals. You know what I mean? Like everything, bro. The atmosphere, like everything. And now we're talking about going to space. What the fuck for? Like we haven't even done shit here. You know what I mean? Like I'm all for like the ingenuity and like the open mindedness to like want to know what's out there. But again, like at what cost? And the cost is of like us having to mine even more. Yeah. Because we need certain like fuel lines that only exist like to that science of
who's going to space, right? It's not going to be the average Joe.
Yeah, no,
right?
Dude.
It's like, going to be some.
Yeah, do you know what kind of resources are needed for like a space like shuttle? It takes a lot of fucked up mining and like a lot of like we fuck up the earth like real bad to be able to, it's like thorium and like a couple different elements that are put into the fuel to be able to get off earth. It's not just like a regular gasoline, you know what I mean? Like we have to get certain resources like from earth, and we fuck earth up in order for us just to like take one trip off. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that shit's like not curable, bro. You know what I mean? But like here we're putting $1 trillion fucking systems into like taking off, or like, you know, something that we don't have a chance if it's gonna work or not. Yeah,
I mean the probability of that actually happening is
meanwhile we can't throw that same $1 trillion fucking project onto Earth and like heal what the fuck we're, you know, like doing and shit. It's like it's so half-ass backwards.
So it's to say, well, who's in charge? Whose priorities are being valued? And it's not like the people. It's yeah.
I was here already in my head like about to say it all like serious and pissed, but I was like the white man. No, but it's true in a lot of ways, honestly, dude. It's always the fucking rich, bro. You know, like in this world, at least in this form of system, it's definitely, bro. Their hands on everything, dude. The European hand is literally on everything. Like, and I'm literally talking about everything, like the churches, the sciences, the fucking religions, like everything, bro. Everything.
We find Eurocentric domination between all things, and I think that's definitely true in like in anthropology. You find that constant, even for, you know, Mexicans, would you find the Catholic that wasn't there before? That was a conquistadors going in there and having that happen, and the roots taken away from them. And we have African Americans that were brought over through slavery. Yeah, bro. Right, and like and that's you're like, well, that's a history, and that's
Native Americans, like, bro, they're like everywhere, bro. Like, you know, and there's so many like revolutionary wars that you hear about, you know, that. Well, you hear about it if you want to hear about them and you go through them. You know, a lot of people don't know about a lot of the revolutions, you know, but this is just history all repeating itself in a lot of ways, right? But I think also going back to like modern day, it's like we are in some sense of modern day slavery. I do truly believe that we are like mentally completely enslaved and shit, you know, and I think most people like already accepted it. That form of
that like, paradigm that just
and comfort, and that's the saddest part. That's like
damn comfort.
I think because you allow someone else to dictate your life, and to me personally, I think it's the saddest shit in the world. Wow. When you allow some other person to dictate the way you move in life, you know what I mean, the way you feel about things and the way you think about things, like it's just that's fucked up. You know what I mean? But I think. In all honesty, I think we always like we're searching for validation, you know, and in all the things. So we somehow like we are the same fucking people, you know, the same person I'm talking to you about. That I think is the saddest shit. We allow ourselves to be that person. Most of the times, we look at ourselves through other people's eyes instead of our own. You know what I mean? Like
that makes me question the notion of freedom and like if that's actually an easy thing. You know, who's to say that this is probably a crude example, but I think I heard this thing from like North Koreans, which was like once they got out of North Korea, they found themselves in this cognitive dissonance of like, I don't have someone telling me what to do. I don't have this regime telling me like what is like, you know, dictating my life. And it's like, I have to be free. I have to act freely. Yeah. And you go, the responsibility is then on you, right? Suddenly it's like, oh shit, the awareness is on me. It's like, oh fuck, like.
And
what?
And imagine that though. Imagine telling people like they're so fucking conditioned for centuries. Like now, all right, like you guys are on your own. You know what I mean? Like
the leash is on.
Yep. You have people freak the fuck out though. That's for
Yeah,
sure. You
yeah.
people freak the fuck out. Like
Once the leash is off, once the conditioning is decondition yourself, like what do you follow then? You find yourself in this place of maybe not nihilism, but in you cut off the branch you're sitting on. You cut off their foundation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you're digging your own hole type of shit too. But
Yeah. And who wants that? Who wants to have no raft in the world? Who wants to have no coherence to what you're doing? Yeah. That's the
fuck.
question. Yeah.
In some sense, I would. Fuck it. You know, like,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
like anarchism, right? That's kinda
Anarchism,
like,
interesting.
But I think again, the average person hears anarchism and they just think it's like fucking shit up and like
Interesting.
You know, just tagging shit up and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they
And
just
the opposite is like the martial law of like, you know, it's like, oh well, no, anarchism is you need to have the
no
control.
authority that you don't allow any sense of authority like over your fucking way of being. You know what I mean? Like your well being at all. Like there's no authority, any sense of authority. It's like you're pretty much allowing yourself to dictate your life by your own means and shit. And so like, and you see this in a lot of in community that thrives a lot in real community. Because I still think that like certain like forms of community like still have like a systemized like way of doing things. But again, everything goes back to conditioning. And I say this very often because it's all deeply rooted. But if there was no conditioning and you understood that, like, let's say everyone in this room, including some other people, we understood that in order for us to survive, you know what I mean? Like that we needed to like farm, we needed to filter water, we needed to create fires, we needed to like, you know, that was just like a very basic way of doing things. But we understood that was the benefit. And so like you were good at this, I was good at this, you were good at something else. And we just rotated that skill because we knew that like that was just a way of doing things for everybody to thrive and grow. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But so like again, society became so deeply enrooted into like money instead of our well-being, our health, well-being, our fucking spirituality, our emotional fucking things, that we don't take care of each other that way. We're one-upping each other all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Like,
Competition of like,
yeah, it's a dog world. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Like, but there's no sense of like community based anywhere. Like, we don't give a fuck about each other, dude. Like, as long as like, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you feel like you're one-upping the next person and shit, you know, or you're somehow
I have
like,
the new Bugatti. I have the Rolex. I have the
bro.
the booty
You feel
bag.
like you're making it in life. Like, are you really though? You know, like again,
Is
I'm
that
not
the
trying
good
to say-
life? Is
yeah.
that the good life?
I don't really, and again, not to sound judged for and shit, but like, I just don't think.
It's the
I don't
question.
think-
It's
yeah.
the question of the way society is.
I just don't think that type of like that feeling of like not wanting to like give a fuck about who you're surrounded by. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? I just think that's like in a way selfish personally, but then again, to each his own. You know, I'm not really gonna like, you know, judge people on how they want to like live their own lives, but really, bro, I just think, you know, my personal experiences led me to believe that life is about, you know, community and wanting to fucking, you know, see fucking this world thrive and shit, you know?
And so when you say the word anarchism, you don't necessarily have that negative connotation to it, but you rather have this sense of community to it. And anarchism can be a synonym for community. You know?
And honestly, and that's to me what true anarchism means. Because like it's funny because I met a lot of people who believe in anarchism as well. Like, you know, through a really good friend of mine too, who, you know, we've spoken a lot of in these topics. But it's funny that most people that you meet on the same relatable like, you know, feelings always want to take care of Mother Earth. They always want to see Mother Earth like thrive.